It is a Football Friday. We'll get to some USFL picks here in just a second. But like you're thinking about Couch number 1 overall, and then you think about their other number 1 overall pick that they took a few years back, quarterback Baker Mayfield. As things stand right now, Pearce, do you consider Baker a bust?
No, I don't. The Browns have been to the playoffs 3 times in the last 30 years, and Baker was one of the guys that took them there. So that's kind of a big deal. Not only did he take them to the playoffs, they beat their rival Steelers in the playoffs. So people might hate him right now, but give it a couple years, he's going to be a legend. He'll probably end up opening a bar down in the flats in Cleveland and will be some sort of hero like Kozar or Testaverde. Just wait. I guess the rest of the league can consider him a bust, but I think the people in Cleveland will grow to love him.
I mean, before this injury-plagued season last year, Geoff, it did look like he was going to be leading Cleveland to possibly some new heights.
It is pretty hard to call Baker Mayfield a bust. I mean, he was first overall, so I kind of understand why we're giving him the bust label. I mean, if you're first overall and you're already moving on and at odds with the team that drafted you, it really hasn't worked out. But at the same time, it's a player with 92 touchdowns and 56 interceptions. It's not like he hasn't played that bad. He's also been the victim of circumstance. The circumstance of being in one of the deepest drafts ever and then getting picked first overall in that draft. If he'd gone to the back of the first round, people would probably be calling Baker Mayfield like a very good, value sort of get at that round, because late first round quarterbacks don't always work out. So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of with Pearce on this one. I won't call him a bust. And I think he's still super young. Lots of time to turn it around and really kind of, maybe even live up to that number 1 potential.
All right, well, the late first-round quarterback that year, last pick, that was Lamar Jackson. So let's have a little bit of fun here. Let's redraft that 2018 draft in, Geoff. If you were the Browns, who are you taking number 1 overall?
Man, I mean, this draft is it's so ridiculous. You could pretty much, there's literally 5. Jare Alexander is a name that I almost want to go with in this one. Quentin Nelson. Pearce is going to probably pick Quentin Nelson because he's so enamored with the O-line. But the answer is Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's just don't fall out of trees. I mean, this is a player who's essentially a running back, fullback back there in terms of his running instincts. We know he has the arm, but just the way he's developed into an accurate downfield passer with all those other things combined. I mean, if you can't take Patrick Mahomes out of any quarterback in the league, I think the answer is Josh Allen. So the fact that we'd be having this discussion, who would we take? It's got to be him for me.
I mean, Pearce, they nailed Nick Chubb in the second round, so they have that going for him, which is nice. But let's be real. If Cleveland could redo it, they'd be like, all right, we'll take Sam Darnold, or maybe even Josh Rosen there. But who would you take?
Yeah, you're probably expecting me to pick offensive lineman, but I'll go full galaxy brain. I'd pick Baker Mayfield again. In 2020, his stats were great. They went to the playoffs. This team looked good. This year, he threw for 3,000 yards this season. In 14 games, he was injured. His offensive line was injured. He doesn't have any receivers. Yeah, you got Jarvis Landry. Great. You need a 5-yard slant. You got it. But he has no weapons outside of that, and that's barely even a weapon. And then he's also in a play-action offense from the 1990s. Tecmo Bowl has a better playbook than what the Browns had. I think Mayfield is fine. I think we're piling on him.
Fine, but he's not better than Josh Allen.
Or Lamar Jackson.
He went to the playoffs, the second half of the playoffs in his second season. What has Deshaun Watson ever done?
Deshaun Watson?
No, dude. Okay. Hey, listen, Lamar Jackson. You're telling me right now, if you had a choice between Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield, you were picking once again, knowing what you know now in the 2018 draft, you would still take Baker over him. You would take Baker over Josh Allen.
Yes. Jackson's not going to last with his playing style. We already have seen him start to fall apart.
We don't know. So same with Baker. Oh, Pearce, I love you so much, and it's such a pleasure to have you as a part of this team. Mr. Contrarian, I love it. Let's get to
so many names he could have picked.
Jare
Alexander. Hey, Derwin James.
You could have gone with Sony Michel. Hell, I would have even said, I'm going to go ahead and take Nick Chubb number 1 overall this time.
Look, I'm team owner guy, so of course I'm going to be team Baker.
All right, who you paying up for tonight? 4-game slate, USFL, Pearce.
Lance Lenoir. Tough with the French name. He almost made the Dallas Cowboys roster a couple years ago. He's very active for Michigan in their first week matchup. I imagine he's going to have another big game. He's facing the Generals defense. that allowed the most passing yards, most passing touchdowns last week. Also, the rest of the Michigan wide receivers are all banged up. He could have had a bigger week last week if the Michigan quarterbacks weren't throwing interceptions and fumbling left and right. So Lance Lenoir, if I could say it right, is the guy to go with.
Geoff, who do you want, man?
I'm still rattled from that.
I know.
Kyle Slaughter. Every week. I'm just taking Kyle Slaughter as my quarterback every week. 27 pass attempts. You saw a lot of teams come out in the USFL first week. What did they try and do? Run the ball a million times. Kyle Aletta threw the ball 10 times and completed 2 passes. Kyle Slaughter attempted 27 passes. He had a very decent 63% completion rate. He also added 30 yards on the ground. I've said it before. I've said it again. He's the best quarterback in the USFL. He will eventually light up a couple defenses. You stick with him, and you can take his favorite target at tight end, and you can pair it with him. Sal Cannella, tight end, 7 targets last week, led the Breakers. I like stacking that duo. Pay up for them.
Again, 4-game slate for the whole weekend. 1 game tonight, 2 games tomorrow. There's a Sunday afternoon game at 3 o'clock. What about a value play, Geoff?
Yeah, value is it's a different story. I mean, for me, I think you have to go to running back and just look at guys who had good usage and are on decent teams. Like, I think you can certainly look at TJ Logan on the Breakers as well. Got 15 carries, also was involved in the passing game. The Breakers didn't use their wide receivers that much. We'll see if that changes. But, Pearce mentioned a couple other teams. I do like targeting Philly a lot this week. I think Philly is going to absolutely mash Pittsburgh. So Darnell Holland at 8,200. I don't even really mind that. I know he's up there. It's not really a value pick, but in terms of like who you should be looking at, that's who I would be going with at running back.
All right, we got less than a minute to go in show. Have at it, Pearce.
All right, sticking with Philadelphia, they're going to have a couple wide receivers out in Devin Gray and Chris Rowland, who led the league in receptions last week. So DeAndre Overton is really cheap for Philly. You're going to want to target him. Also, you want to go after Jordan Sewell in that Philly high-paced offense. I don't know about Holland because they're going to have 3 running backs active this week, so you might want to be careful there. Bailey Gaither is a receiver who we paired up with Josh Love, who was his quarterback in college at San Jose State. And so he got 8 targets last week, and their leading receiver will be out, so I imagine Gaither is going to get a lot of receptions. And then tonight, Trey Williams, over 50 yards on the ground last week, 3 or 4 targets in the air. It's really important in these low-scoring offenses to target PPR points. So Trey Williams for the Generals.